Very good afternoon, everybody. Very good afternoon. And it's right now 2:30 in the afternoon. With Indian markets, we are standing, and we are going to track Indian markets technically. Now, those who are watching this on YouTube, you can join me on Telegram by joining the link below. And those who are watching it who have come through Telegram, you keep a note that I'm sharing the even the previous links of the recording of the live session, and all of you can go back and see and be coming into the live sessions, which are all for free, and you can have fun just watching me do things technically and how the pieces of the puzzle sort of come together, and that sort of enthusiasm which one can feel with technical analysis. It's like it's the most amazing thing. So thank you everybody, and I welcome you all again. Before any further ado, let's begin. Before this session was actually happening, what I did was that I was seeing the markets technically, and that particular session which had to be cancelled is not going to be put up. But this is what we were discussing in that session, and I just hope that would have been recorded and put on YouTube also. But nonetheless, it's okay. This was what we were discussing, that on the Nifty chart there's a short-term trend line which has been broken, due to which we can see a lot of bearishness. Now, of course, how many of you here trade technically? Please raise your hands. There's a button out there to raise your hands. How many of you here trade technically? Right? Some of you do. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for your participation. Right. Now, I am a technical analyst. I am a technical trader. I've been trading for the past 9 years, and I've been teaching people in the last 4 years how to trade technically. A couple of my students are also over here, so I welcome you all. So what I'm trying to tell in these sessions, I'm giving you small basic concepts of technical analysis and showing how they and demonstrating how they are applicable, and so clearly applicable to any market in the world, keeping our standpoint to Indian markets. Now, yesterday's sessions I had mentioned, if you follow it on YouTube, you will know, and if not, you can go back and check. Yesterday's session I had mentioned that you're looking at the daily chart of Nifty, there are a couple of things which are coming together. One of the things which was coming was that yes, it was bullish, as we had spoken about 3 to 4 days back, that there can be a bullishness, right? And that has also played out. So it did go up after that, right? It did go up after that, right? Now I'll just go back to my original charting software since that is ready. Yeah, it's fetching some data. Yeah, it did go up till there, right? We did see that the market has moved a little bit towards the higher end of this gap zone, or towards this gap zone and all. And this gap zone I mentioned is putting in a lot of strong selling pressure. Now, when this selling pressure happens with such strong places, what tends to happen in such strong places is that the power of the pressure can be put in within a band of 100 points or within a band of 60-70 points, depending on whichever particular stock you're trading. So it becomes very difficult for one to judge and pinpoint where the one should exactly sell to be on the top. Therefore, you use technical strategies and you help yourself by putting your brain in only places where the market is ready to move. So if the market is ready to move in a certain way, you want to take that trade, and if it is not looking very likely to move in a certain way, you want to avoid those trades. So when the market was going up yesterday, I had discussed that the structure of the movement is not very convincing. The basing which has happened over here and the basing which has happened over here due to this horizontal line, and I'll just draw a horizontal line with the yellow pen here, this one, and this blue line which you can see, this trend line breakout at this point. These have been very crucial points, and these have been two crucial, you can say, buy signals, right? This one over here and this one over here, okay? And the trend has continued. It may still continue, okay? I'm just trying to say that the zone where the market has temporarily come after this move, and a few days back I had spoken about a possible buy idea over here also. But where the market has come now, that zone is very vulnerable. we see that that zone is very vulnerable, and therefore we want to keep very nimble footed stance. So when the market starts showing bearishness, those who are following me on Telegram, I message in the morning that now it is short bearishness, and therefore this is what is likely to happen because the zone is very strong. So if you want to learn about it clearly, go back to the previous video and you will be able to see it on YouTube, right? Now, one of the things which I'll just mention is that there's this 15 session course I do. It's an online course. Just like this, you will be entering the webinar, and it is full of structured learning, step by step, from the very basic concepts to the advanced concepts. And if you take in that learning, it's a structured way to grow, and of course, you can mint a lot of money with technical concepts and technical analysis, right? So that is something which you can do always. Now, one thing which you want to really sort of keep in mind while practicing technical analysis is that don't use half knowledge. Okay, half knowledge can be fatal. Just before this recording had been done, but the webinar did not finish due to some technical glitch. I drew this trend line as I was talking about just now, right? This short-term trend line, which was broken in the morning itself, has been showing a significant down move for intraday. Now, those who come and tell me that I cannot trade intraday or is intraday difficult, you have to understand what context of intraday you're looking at. Prices move perpetually. Prices move perpetually. And therefore, to be able to really make the most of that movement, you need to make sure that you see the prices in a holistic way and in multiple time frames. Then you will be able to get yourself into the places where the prices are actually moving in a very smart manner at the places it should. Like for example, from this area which I had marked out a few days back, okay, this zone, from this zone, the prices was hovering around this zone. Now, when the prices hovered around this zone for quite significant time, and there was something very convincing over here and over here to talk about more buying coming in. But after this zone is taken out, the next zone which comes in is around this area. Right? Now, when I teach students, I try to make them very objective about things. So one of the things which we go extreme details in, we go into other indicators as well, but one of them which we go in extreme details is RSI. RSI. Now, I know a lot of you have heard about it and probably even practice using it, but one thing I'll tell you for sure that it is not the way we do it is very different from where people generally do it, right? So one of the things which I perceive about RSI personally, and that is how I teach to students, is mixing it up with other technical factors, and the right combination at the right time do lead to amazing things. So when RSI on the daily chart comes near the resistance zone, when RSI near the daily chart comes near resistance zone, the hourly chart RSI, the hourly chart RSI will have a very strong resistance at 80 zone. So it will be difficult for the prices to go above 80, right? RSI to go above 80. So as you can see here, RSI is coming to 81. Again, Nifty is moving higher, yet the RSI is actually showing us a lower high, which is a clear case of a type 1 divergence. Now, how many of you really follow these simple clues to be able to understand which direction the market is going in? Now note, yesterday I did not speak about divergence. Yesterday I simply didn't speak about divergence because I don't want to use one technical tool. Just for the heck of it, I don't want to use. I want to show things where the picture is clear. One technical tool in isolation is of no use to us, right? But a multiple set of things coming together is of use to us. Now in this case, if the market had gone higher, RSI would have easily made a new high. So I did not want to talk about it, and I mentioned about RSI there also. But yes, today we have seen how things are behaving and how there's a slight cut in the RSI, one-way cut in the RSI, which is also showing us a lot of downward movement. So downward strength. So what I'd like to do in this stage is that I would like to wait for more sell signals in the short term and intraday. Today I got one sell signal which has been amazing, and then as markets go and unfold as an intraday trader, and sometimes I trade positionally when I get the opportunity. As that perspective sort of builds up, I will take more trades as they come. So right now, as we were speaking, even in this previous session, which did not get recorded properly, the entire movement, okay, the power of the movement today in the last two candles, which you can see, actually came about. Now, if somebody is using the 15-minute chart, one can see that there is something else in the smaller time frame, and smaller time frames are more challenging, but they can be more rewarding in terms of risk to rewards if you can understand what the subtleties are. So in the smaller time frame, the way I like to see, I just tell you, you can see this yellow white line, which is a strong support resistance line. When this broke, I added to my position, and you can also see how the same trend line is coming and taking a resistance over here now. So these zones become very important selling areas, and you can see the momentum is actually coming from here only. Momentum is coming from here only. Are you being able to understand what I'm trying to say? Raise your hands who are understanding what I'm trying to say. Right? Thank you, Mr. Malik. Thank you. Right? Clearly raise your hands who are understanding what I'm trying to say, who are paying attention. Thank you, Mr. Rajkumar. Absolutely. Thank you so much. Right? So we saw these things coming together. So I'm talking about RSI. I'm talking about the trend lines. I'm talking about the resistance, which is on a higher degree time frame. So when something is happening on the lower degree time frame, something on a higher degree time frame, when they come together, what will overpower what? Obviously, the higher degree time frame can overpower the lower degree time frame very easily. That is exactly what is happening. And I spoke about it yesterday on record. Exactly this way. But when I was talking yesterday, the session was happening and the market was actually moving higher. So I did not have enough evidences. See, there is one thing which is a zone where I can understand that this zone is very, very, likely to show me something interesting. But then there is something else about the physical evidence which has to come about. So this trend line breakout is the physical evidence of price movement. So the physical evidence has come about right over here. So when the pieces of puzzle come together, and yesterday I mentioned that I may not be there online 24/7 with you, but I can tell you this from before that there's something interesting going on the counter trend, counterintuitive perspective. Right now, if you have any questions, you can feel free to ask me. Okay. So in Telegram, I'd mentioned about the stock just died, right? And somebody just messaged, thank you, Mr. Alpaz, that the call was very good. So I don't remember exactly the price. I'll have to check, but it was somewhere around 508 or 509. Well, yes, I do feel that the stock just died has got a lot of elements put together for the breakout to happen, and it may happen after hovering about within the range a little bit, but I'm again more on the bullish side of things. So a similar kind of thing was being seen on Nifty 15-minute a few days back, if I mentioned, and you can see even after I gave the buy call over there, and those who are not on my Telegram channel watching on this on YouTube, join my Telegram channel right now. Okay, now I gave a buy call, and I like to pick up stocks which are showing strength if I'm on the buy side, and there should be enough weakness if I'm on the sell side. That is the way I do things. Now, buying and selling weakness just doesn't happen because market is going up and down. You need to take the individual chart and individual elements which need to be put together. Now, to be able, how many of you sometimes feel like you can get a feeling that yes, the market is about to take up or down and I can just know it? Raise your hands. How many of you feel like that? How many of you feel like that? Okay, one, two, five, two more, seven people feel like that. Okay. Now, sometimes that happens, but this feeling can happen practically very frequently if you learn properly, right? Now, one more question I'm guessing. Market is down, but BEML is still trading up. Okay, now about the fact again that the market is down but something is trading up. All the stocks are not a part of 50-50. But even if something is a stock of 50-50, again, that does not have to happen that the stock needs to be always correlated. The stock can be ultra strong one day while the market is going on. It's completely fine. There's no big deal. There's nothing to worry about. Like coming back to this just an example. This is what is happening, right? Okay, Pratik. If you can just send me the symbol, so that it's easier for me to find. Right. But since I'm on this different software at the moment, right? So if you can notice the just dial, the stock is showing a lot of weekly bullishness. Now, why I like just dial? Why I like just dial? Some time back, I was speaking about habits. If anybody notices something similar, I will not be surprised. Now, around these areas on the daily chart, it has shown extreme power. And after the recent correction, Just Dial has shown extreme power over here. Now, it is building a base. It is building a base from a point where it is very, 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 very strong. Okay. And then it is creating a patch of sideways move. Okay. One thing to be noted, if we go through all the Nifty 50 stocks, etc., it is not a very secular fall. It is a corrective fall. Okay, in the sense that markets just don't go up and down. So be able to market to be able to fall very ferociously, we need some distribution patterns to happen, right? So if the market has to fall very ferociously, some distribution patterns need to happen, right? So if it doesn't happen, what happens is that the market absorbs things in time correction later. So the market can go fall down and then go sideways. But the other scenario can be if the market has to really go down, then it should wave around for a few days around this 100 point, 50 point range. 50 to 80 or 100 point range, right? So we can do things from that perspective. You will understand that the market will really reward you if you wait for these right trades to happen. So you need to wait for these right trades. Now I'm going to discuss a few stocks which I have on my radar, have had on my radar, and I'm also going to discuss Bank Nifty. Bank Nifty is very interesting. So let's go to Bank Nifty, guys. Yeah, so I told you that earlier it was showing some more bullishness than the index, and now it is showing more slack of momentum. So, one second, somebody is asking a question. Hmm. Okay, thanks, Pratik. And Parishji, can you just tell me some context, right, in which you are asking this question? The context is also important. Yeah, thank you. The context of the particular concept you're looking at. Okay, so this is something very interesting that I'm going to discuss a few stocks which people are messaging. So after Just Dial, I had IndusInd Bank on my radar, which most of you know I had. And after this great up move today morning, okay, which the higher high had been made yesterday. So there was something else over here. Unlike last time, which the trendline breakout did not happen, we were looking at the trendline breakout perspective. That scenario did not play out. So that which was over here on the 15-minute chart, that did not play out that day. Okay, sorry, that was over here. So this trend line did not break out, which we had made from here to here, right? So that was ruled out. But yesterday we made a higher high above here. And even though some may not be knowing this according to Elliott waves, I could perceive that this is a possible wave that could break out. And if this breaks out, some more up move can be expected. Right. Now, the sentiment over here is important that the market is having a little poor sentiment. So we cannot really judge how powerful each of these stocks will be. So when the market is going to rise or when the market is going to have pullbacks, these stocks will be the stocks you should participate in, which are already very strong. Like for example, right now a small pullback is happening. Right. So here In the pullbacks, one needs to focus on those stocks that are showing more strength compared to the others, right? So let me just take out the group of stocks, a group of 50-50 stocks. Then I'm going to come to the scripts which people have messaged, right? So Adani Ports has been a classic. I've been talking about it every time I came to the live session, right? Thanks, Pratik. I will get back to that stock. Uh, Adani Ports, please raise your hands who have seen my YouTube video and my live session on this. Quite a few of you. How many of you made money on this? Right? Because yesterday some people did come and say, sir, we are making money because we're buying it on every day. So Adani Ports was something I'd spoken about very, very clearly. What other factors I'm looking at? Okay, it has gone up today. It has shown a good up move, but now, of course, with the market coming down a little bit, correction is okay, which has happened. In the morning, it showed an amazing up move today, right? And the trend is likely to continue. Then coming and sort of scrolling through stocks, looking for interesting stuff, I came across BPCL again, which is around the open here, the opening direction of the gap. So the gap is at this from this close over here till this open, right? So BPCL is one thing which I've been talking about even when these falls were happening, etc. So this was on my radar because a lot of other sort of stocks related to oil have shown bearishness again. So keeping those things in mind, on the bearish side, some stocks for this. Cipla we discussed yesterday in details. I said the price can subdue at a lower end of this move, may not show very strong pullbacks and may become sideways or before resuming a smart down move. So the bias was already on the downside. Okay. So hence these were the stocks which were discussed. And in the Telegram I've also been showing some of these charts. That's bearish, Pariji. That is bearish, right? So on my software, what I do is I flip around. I have some alerts which I get. I keep getting stocks on my radar as the bigger movements are happening, right? Now, as we speak right now, I am finding the chart of Infosys very, very interesting, right? It's building up stage by stage and stage by stage. So when I see this stock, because some people keep asking me, how do I track? Right? How do I track the market? So when I see a stock which is so interesting, I tend to find what is happening in this sector overall. Okay, so I'll go to other IT stocks and see how they are being placed. What is the action going on over there? See how universal the entire trend is for that sector, right? And those kind of things. Broadly speaking, a short-term bearishness, as we can see, a lot of stocks today have participated on the downside. A short-term bearishness cannot be ruled out, but we really need to give the market room to give us some patterns of movement. Other than that, stocks which are showing specifically one-sided signals can be traded upon. So specifically one-sided signals are going to be the themes which are going to really help out. Like for example, Adani Ports has been standing strong, right, and going higher. So in that scenario, you take the individual chart in consideration and not so much the broader market, as I said earlier. Okay, so just died again on my radar. And right now somebody has requested a stock, and thank you, Mr. Pratik. I will just open with stock for just 1 second. And then Pareshji's question. Anybody feels like asking question, may ask. Okay, Alfaz is asking, so what is the index management? Okay, I'll come to that. I'll come to that. Okay, so what are you saying, Pradeep, over here? What are you looking at? This is a little semi-liquid, I'm perceiving. Not a fund liner stock. Okay, you're talking about a multi-year resistance breakout. I'll take it. Okay, Mr. Rajkumar, I'll take your question. Okay, after this. So, you're seeing the monthly support zone. From a multi-support zone, it is a strong from that point of view. It's a strong stock. But then you keep the monthly chart in front of you. Therefore, what happens is from a trading perspective, it may not be the most viable thing because your stop loss is quite big. If you are ready to take it with some small positions, it's a different matter. Again, I would not go and jump and buy because I like to trade in a particular style, these semi-liquid stocks. I don't like to take throwbacks as much as I like to take fresh patterns. Over here, we saw it testing this zone and it has come up back again. And this time it has made a lower low. So that gives off a smell of small bearish evidence. It's a very small bearish evidence I'm talking about. On the weekly and daily chart, right now there's not much evidence of a complete turnaround. But if you find the fundamentals right, these stocks can be used for investment, etc. Next question. I'll come to each and every question. Next question is, uh, thanks Pratik, and you can get in touch with me offline. I think you have a lot of potential in identifying things, but I feel that you might need some polishing. That would be an interesting conclusion. Rajkumar ji is asking a general view on Ichimoku Cloud on trading. Oh, that's a very interesting one. Thank you for that question again. Ichimoku can be used, and so can any other indicator be used very, very usefully. Uh, Specifically speaking of Ichimoku, without going into very, very deep details, it will be difficult for me to explain to you. So, say for example, I use the daily chart, or let me just take the hourly chart, right? Okay. Now, without going into much details, because there's a very complicated thing around, you have to see which are the lines and when the crossover is happening, when the crossover happening the above cloud. What I can say to you in a small, subtle manner is that when it comes to Ichimoku, it is one of the indicator which helps us in putting together momentum, putting together momentum and trend. So there are trend indicators, there are momentum indicators, there are volatility indicators. Ichimoku incidentally helps us to put in together momentum and trend. So when something is showing us momentum and trend, okay, and in a very pseudo precise way, but in quite a nice way, it sometimes shows us entry points also, okay, which can be very reliable. So when a particular indicator is trying to show us two, three things, it sort of becomes very, very good to look at, and definitely it helps us a lot. But what I'll tell you is that please use these not in isolation. Use it in a complete context. And if you find something interesting while using it in isolation, then 100% use it. But use it only after you have done enough research. This is what my conclusion is. I tell all my students, use what you want to. I teach a lot of things. In my 15 session course, it's a full 15 session course. And Saturday, Sunday, it goes on about 2 months, slightly more than 2 months, right? In this entire time period, we go in great details with technical analysis. If you don't know anything, you can start. We start from a base, and then we go to the much advanced levels as the classes proceed. So if you're coming to that course, that would be one way you can actually streamline all your existing knowledge and put it together in a structured way. A lot of people call me up. They go on YouTube, Google here and there. Definitely they get to learn a lot. But it's a little unstructured. They don't know which direction to go, how. So that would be one way you can feel that, yeah, there's a direction and there's a structure to things. I may be able to use that. So if you feel interested in that, you can join the upcoming course in the December batch. The December batch will have sessions from 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. And in case you miss a session, the recording will be available. Not just technicals, one more thing I focus on is trading psychology. The mental makeup before you sit on the screen and trade, the correct mental makeup is very, very important. Right. So if you have the correct mental makeup, then your trading takes goes leaps and bounds ahead, right? It really goes and becomes better if you have the correct mental makeup. You're able to completely execute things with clarity. So that mental makeup is also something I really focus on and I teach. So those who are interested can really join and it can be really useful to all of you. That much I am very sure of. It can be very useful to all of you. So keeping all that in mind, guys, I had a great time today. If you have any questions, you can ask. Okay, I had some questions regarding ICICI Bank. Okay. Currently, no short-term view on it. It's in an uptrend. That would be my view. It's a general uptrend. I don't have any short-term view on it otherwise because I track this stock. So I would keep my eyes on the upside only for this. And somebody asked about Adani Ports again. Why should I enter? Well, I gave the entry. I didn't give the entry particularly. I told about the entry and buy on dips few days earlier only. That would have been an excellent positional trade. For the time being, I can say is that you can just uh, improve and enhance your clarity about entering positions in intraday. And when you feel that okay, fine, the stocks are showing you clarity according to your study, then you take intraday position. Right now, we are seeing a last hour pullback. Right? Thanks, Pratik. Thank you, everybody. Right? And the nature of the markets and technically tracking things will always keep going on. Keep following me on the Telegram channel. Just to tell you, just to ask all of you, how many of you would be genuinely interested in joining the course, the 15 session paid course? Thank you. Okay, the fees is 12,500 rupees only. How many of you would be genuinely interested in joining that course? Right. Thank you so much for raising your hands. Great. So of course you can get in touch with my team. And if you want, you can put your number over here. My team can set up a call. Okay. Thank you so much. Okay, Mayuresh, you're asking about Bank Nifty. Yes, of course, you're right. You're right. It could have been done, seen that way, not an issue. That is what I'm saying. The power comes from different places. So you need to prejudge that part. That the power of the move comes from certain place and which are the possible zones. You need to keep that in mind. And what you have to do is that there are two kinds of trading. One is a little more intraday, and the other is following a trend and swing. So when you're doing that, you need to have the entry correct and the exit correct. Okay. Okay. Thank you so much, guys. So I'll be taking the rest of market hours. I mean, off the screen from here. If anybody wants to get in touch with me, I'm just typing my number here, and you can note it down. Right. So if anybody wants to get in touch with me, you can talk to me directly about your doubts. And I'll be taking the session off now. Thank you so much, and thank you for continuing the learning process. We'll see each other very soon, and definitely keep coming to these live sessions, and we'll all enhance our knowledge, discuss more stocks, have interesting questions to ask. You're most welcome to ask anything you feel like. Thank you so much. Take care. Okay. Good night. Bye bye. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, everybody. Thank you. Okay, Mr. Jay Kumar, I'm sorry about the question which I missed out. Okay. I think you can just message me offline about this because I'm not able to understand the full nature of this question until you tell me properly. Okay. Thank you so much. Good day. Take care. Goodbye. Enjoy.